Aaliyah Walker, a renowned journalist celebrated for her fearless exposés on corruption, found herself in an unexpected and terrifying situation. She was a renowned journalist, celebrated for her incisive reports and unwavering commitment to justice. Today, however, she was just another shopper, or so she thought. As she moved through the upscale stores, Aaliyah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Her past experiences with discrimination had taught her to be wary, but she refused to let it ruin her day. She was engrossed in examining a new handbag when two security guards approached her. "Excuse me, ma'am," one of them said, his voice stern and authoritative. "We need to check your bags." Aaliyah's heart pounded. "Why?" "I haven't done anything wrong," she replied, her voice steady but laced with incredulity. The other guard stepped closer, his eyes cold and suspicious. "We received a report of shoplifting. You match the description." Before she could protest, they grabbed her arms and led her away, ignoring her cries of innocence. The humiliating scene unfolded in the middle of the mall, drawing the attention of onlookers. Phones were raised, and the incident was quickly captured on video. "Please, let me go." "This is a mistake." Aaliyah's voice was desperate, echoing through the marble halls of the plaza. But the guards were relentless, dragging her into a small office. Inside, they searched her bags and found nothing. No stolen items, no evidence of wrongdoing. Yet, the damage was done. Aaliyah's cheeks burned with humiliation and anger. "Do you think you can get away with this just because you look like you have money?" one guard sneered, tossing her handbag onto the floor. "Bet she thought she could just waltz in here and take whatever she wanted," the other guard said, his tone dripping with disdain. "Typical." Aaliyah clenched her fists. "I didn't steal anything. You have no right to treat me like this." The first guard smirked. "We have every right. You people think you can do whatever you want and get away with it." Tears of frustration welled in Aaliyah's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "This is illegal. I'm a journalist, and I know my rights." The guards laughed. "A journalist? Sure. More like a thief with a good cover story," the second guard taunted. She was finally released, but not before enduring the scornful looks and whispers of the mall staff. As she walked out, her phone buzzed with notifications. The videos had gone viral, sparking a wave of public outrage. Comments poured in, condemning the mall's security for their blatant racial profiling. Back at her apartment, Aaliyah sat with her head in her hands. The incident replayed in her mind, a bitter reminder of the discrimination she had faced all her life. Her phone rang, breaking the silence. It was her uncle, Senator Malcolm Reed. "Aaliyah, I saw the video," he said, his voice filled with concern. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine, Uncle Malcolm," she replied, though her voice betrayed her shaken state. "But I can't let this go. This isn't just about me. This is about all the people who've been treated like this and never had a chance to speak out." Senator Reed's voice was firm. "Then you know what you have to do. Use your skills. Expose them." Aaliyah nodded, determination replacing her despair. "I will. I'm going to investigate this mall and their practices. They need to be held accountable." With renewed resolve, Aaliyah began her investigation. She started gathering testimonies from other victims, their stories mirroring her own. Each account fueled her determination, painting a disturbing picture of systemic racial profiling. One such story came from Marcus Brown, a local high school teacher. Marcus had visited Magnolia Plaza a month earlier to buy a gift for his wife's birthday. He recounted his experience with a heavy heart. "I was in the jewelry store, looking at a necklace," Marcus said, his voice tinged with bitterness. "Next thing I know, security is all over me, accusing me of trying to steal it. I tried to explain that I was just browsing, but they wouldn't listen." Marcus described how he was forcibly removed from the store, his students watching in horror as he was humiliated in front of them. "It was the most degrading experience of my life," he confessed. "I was treated like a criminal in front of the very kids I teach to trust the system." Aaliyah listened, her anger boiling anew. Marcus's story was a stark reminder of the pervasive injustice she was up against. It solidified her resolve to bring the issue to light and fight for those who had been wronged. As the days passed, Aaliyah's investigation deepened. She uncovered a pattern of discrimination that went far beyond her own experience. Her notes filled with names, dates, and details of countless incidents. Her resolve hardened into a fierce determination to seek justice, not just for herself but for all those who had suffered in silence. Aaliyah's investigation was reaching its critical point. The evidence she had gathered painted a damning picture of systemic racism and corruption at Magnolia Plaza. She knew it was time to make her findings public. Aaliyah stood in front of a room full of reporters, her hands gripping the edges of the podium. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice steady and resolute. "Over the past few months, I have been investigating the discriminatory practices at Magnolia Plaza. What I have uncovered is a shocking pattern of racial profiling and collusion with local law enforcement." She presented her evidence, testimonies, documents, and recordings that exposed the mall's policies and the complicity of certain officials. The room buzzed with outrage as journalists scribbled furiously, cameras flashing to capture the moment. As the news broke, public outrage reached a fever pitch. Massive protests erupted outside Magnolia Plaza, with signs demanding justice and an end to racial profiling. Civil rights groups, community leaders, and activists rallied around Aaliyah, organizing a coordinated legal and public relations campaign against the corrupt network. The legal aspects of the battle came to the forefront, with intense courtroom scenes showcasing the strategies and dynamics between Aaliyah's legal team and the opposition. The defense attempted to discredit her, bringing up her past and questioning her motives. During one heated cross-examination, the mall's attorney sneered, Ms. Walker, "Isn't it true that you've had run-ins with the law before? How can we trust your integrity?" Aaliyah met his gaze calmly. "My past experiences have only strengthened my resolve to fight for justice. I stand here today not just for myself, but for everyone who has been wrongfully profiled and humiliated." Her words resonated deeply, turning the tide in the courtroom. The community's unified response became a powerful movement for justice and equality. With renewed resolve, Aaliyah continued her investigation. She gathered testimonies from other victims, their stories mirroring her own and Marcus Brown's. Each account fueled her determination, painting a disturbing picture of systemic racial profiling. Aaliyah sat across from Rachel Nagin, a college student who had been targeted while shopping for textbooks. "I was looking at a book on African American history," Rachel explained, her voice trembling. "They accused me of trying to steal it. They said someone like me shouldn't be interested in that kind of book." Aaliyah's pen moved swiftly, capturing every detail. "And what happened next?" she asked. "They dragged me out of the store and called the police," Rachel continued. "I was handcuffed and humiliated in front of everyone. They didn't even bother to check the security footage until after I was taken away." The stories kept coming. An elderly man, Henry Jackson, recounted how he was accused of stealing a wristwatch while shopping for his granddaughter's birthday. "They didn't even let me explain," he said, his voice breaking. "They just assumed I was guilty because of the color of my skin." Aaliyah's investigation began to reveal a larger network of corporate corruption and collusion with local law enforcement and government officials. She pored over documents and interviewed former employees who spoke of discriminatory practices and a culture of bias. One evening, as she reviewed her notes, her phone buzzed with an anonymous tip. The voice on the other end was shaky but determined. "You don't know me, but I used to work security at Magnolia Plaza. I saw what they did to you. It's not right." Aaliyah's heart raced. "Can you tell me more?" she asked. "They target people of color on purpose," the voice continued. "It's part of their policy. They think it makes the mall look safer to the richer, white clientele." The next day, Aaliyah met the former security guard in a secluded cafe. "I need to stay anonymous," he said, glancing around nervously. "But I can give you documents and recordings. It'll prove everything." As Aaliyah delved deeper into her investigation, she began to face increasing threats and opposition from powerful figures implicated in her findings. Public smear campaigns, attempts to bribe her, and direct threats to her safety escalated. One night, as she walked home, a car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, and a voice called out, "You're making powerful enemies, Walker. Drop this investigation if you know what's good for you." Aaliyah's pulse quickened, but she stood her ground. "I won't be intimidated," she replied, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her. She confided in her uncle, Senator Malcolm Reed, about the threats. "They're trying to scare me off, Uncle Malcolm," she said. Senator Reed's eyes flashed with anger. "We'll increase your security," he said, "and I'll use my influence to ensure this doesn't get swept under the rug." Their relationship deepened as they navigated the complexities of the legal and political battle. Senator Reid provided political support and mentorship, helping Aaliyah understand the intricacies of the legislative process. Amidst the turmoil, Aaliyah found solace in her budding romance with David, a fellow journalist. Their late-night conversations and shared commitment to justice offered her a respite from the relentless pressure. "You're doing something incredible," David told her one evening. "Don't let them break you." Aaliyah's investigation gained momentum as she gathered more evidence and testimonies. Civil rights groups, community leaders, and activists began to rally around her cause. The community's unified response became a powerful movement for justice and equality. One day, Aaliyah received a call from Marcus Brown. "I've been talking to other teachers and parents," he said. "We're organizing a protest. This has to stop." Aaliyah's heart swelled with gratitude. "Thank you, Marcus. Your support means everything." As the days turned into weeks, Aaliyah's determination only grew. She knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but with the support of her uncle David and the community, she was ready to face whatever came her way. Meanwhile, Aaliyah's relationship with David grew stronger. He stood by her side through the tumultuous process, offering support and encouragement. "You're incredible," he whispered to her one evening as they stood outside the courthouse. "No matter what happens, you've already made a difference." The climax of the legal battle arrived with a particularly intense session. Aaliyah's legal team presented irrefutable evidence of the mall's discriminatory policies and the corruption within the local government. The testimonies of victims like Marcus Brown and Rachel Nguyen were powerful and heartbreaking, leaving a significant impact on the jury and public. Finally, the verdict was announced. The court ruled in favor of Aaliyah and the victims, awarding substantial settlements and mandating sweeping legislative reforms targeting racial profiling and corporate malfeasance. The corrupt officials and mall executives were held accountable, facing charges that would dismantle their network of prejudice and corruption. Aaliyah stood before a supportive crowd at a rally, celebrating the transformation of the city's policies and the triumph of justice. The energy in the air was electric as she addressed the crowd. "This victory isn't just mine. It belongs to every single person who stood up and said enough is enough. We've shown that together we can bring about real change." Her journey from victim to victor inspired others to continue the fight against injustice, marking a new era of accountability and equality. Aaliyah's story was featured in major news outlets, her bravery and perseverance serving as a beacon of hope. In the weeks that followed, Aaliyah continued her journalistic career with a heightened sense of purpose. She received messages of gratitude and support from people all over the country. Her bond with Senator Reid strengthened, their shared commitment to justice deepening their relationship. At a celebratory dinner with David, Senator Reid, and other close friends, Aaliyah reflected on her journey. "We've come a long way, but there's still so much work to be done," she said, raising her glass. "To justice and to the power of our voices." The room echoed with a chorus of cheers, affirming the start of a new chapter in the fight for equality. Aaliyah Walker had not only changed the course of her own life, but had also ignited a movement that would continue to challenge injustice and inspire future generations. Did you enjoy the story? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming tales, thrilling revenge stories,